But the other one was to do with Sam Harris. If you wanted to, if I could mention that, which is the objective morality thing. And I more wanted to just see if I'm getting the gist or finally getting the hang of what it's all about. Which
You're asking
is,
me this?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
So it's that. Are the facts we're deriving morality from? Are they evolutionary facts? Is that seems to be at the heart of what I'm hearing? Am I
They,
misunderstanding?
they would include evolutionary facts, right? They are facts about what actions in the world um, have as predictable consequences effects on our flourishing and our well-being. Okay, so those are biological facts primarily, because if we were completely, if we were constituted differently such that we couldn't feel pain, or we were immortal, or we couldn't feel frustrated or aggravated or something like that, or we couldn't feel joy or satisfaction, right? Then very different things in the world would constitute flourishing, right? So the facts in the world that affect our well-being and our flourishing are all facts that depend on the kinds of creatures that we are. If we were constituted differently, something else would qualify as an action that conduces to flourishing and well-being, or conduces to our misery, right? So
Right.
now, the kinds of creatures that we are, that is ultimately a consequence of our evolutionary history, right? So evolution is, of course, an ingredient in the explanation of what we are, and therefore part of the explanation for what conduces to happiness and flourishing. But it's not the only fact. I mean, there are also going to be basic physical facts, right? Biochemical facts, neurological facts, and stuff like that. And evolution doesn't explain every feature about us. I mean, some features about us are naturally selected traits, but some of them we just have them because we have them for reasons of founder effects. We have them for reasons of gene linkages and pleiotropy and things like that. That these are traits about us that were selected of, but not selected for by natural selection. That is, they didn't necessarily conduce to reproductive fitness. They're just free riders along for the ride, right? And if there are facts in the world that bear on our happiness because of certain features that we're not selected for, then evolution is part of the story, but not natural selection. Right? So the answer, in short, is yes. Natural selection would be an important variable in the objective facts that Sam Harris is talking about, and that I would talk about in this particular case, because our views converge, he and I, on this. But they would not be the only facts. I don't think he would say that those are the only facts.
Can I offer something here? And this, I'm not sure if this is where you're coming from, Simon, but this is something that I had to get straight in my head when dealing with objective morality. Was that when, similar to what Ozzy was talking about earlier, that there's different realms of facticity. There are social facts. There are kind of the empirical facts that we're all really familiar with. That there are things that are agreed upon objectively without that's not dependent on a subject. And the moral facts, as I come to understand them, was if you take what is the case in the world and you have what ought to be the case to actualize these imperatives and these other the result of these biological facts and the imperatives that come from them in a social context, those are the facts. The what ought is the moral facts that supervene upon what is the case, the empirical facts. And Ozzy, you can correct me if I have that wrong, but that was for me a hurdle of getting to what is a moral fact. What are we talking about when we talk about a moral fact?
No, that sounds very right. That's pretty close to how I put it, actually.
Yeah, cool. I kind of think in terms of mathematics, so that would be saying those are the limits by which we operate within.
Yeah, the thing I really like about it is that it ends up being like this. I see it when I'm in my clearest thinking on it. I see it as this interlocked thing that is tied to the reason why I can see it as objective, or the reason why I believe it's objective, is because there's the biological facts, and there are certain imperatives that come as a result of those. And then there's the facts about the world, and that those things make it independent of any observer, of any subject. It is tied to these things, and those facts lay on top of this situation that occurs. And so it's supervening upon, and as the state of affair changes, or as if we were different creatures, what those moral facts would be would change with it, kind of lock in step.
Cool. Yep. I think I'm getting more of a grasp on it. Just need to keep sleeping on it and thinking about it. Eventually I'll get it.
Yeah,
Sokka and TJ have been kind of going round and round on a thread that TJ started, and I think Gary Edwards weighed in a little bit, and that's been TJ's got some really interesting perspectives that really challenge my understanding. I'm still not sure that I'm that solid on it. It's a lot of moving bits to try to keep in your head at once. So.
Yeah, I was just going to say one thing about moral facts. The expression moral facts is puzzling to some people because the word fact serves two primary functions in ordinary discourse. In ordinary vernacular English, when we speak of facts, we're usually using that word in one of two ways. One way that we're using it is just to refer to a state of affairs, the way reality actually is, right? The veracity of things, right? The factuality of things, right? But another way that we use facts is when we're talking about established facts, demonstrable facts, provable facts, right? Facts already in hand, facts in evidence, right? That's a different use of fact. And so when people say, well, I believe in moral facts, what they're not talking about is, things that we can demonstrate to be the case, right? Because obviously, moral questions are very, very much open-ended. We're not using fact in that sense. We're saying that there's a domain of inquiry here where there are facts, okay, to be discovered, right? But not that that we've just got them all sewn up, right? And so, but people get confused about this. They hear someone say, well, I believe that there are moral facts, and they'll say, show me a moral fact. And what they want is, give me a moral proposition that is demonstrably true that no one can challenge, right? As demonstrably true as this is a cup, right? Well, obviously that's not the case. I mean, moral facts are facts about what ought to be the case. They're not ordinary empirical facts in that sense, right? And so, facts about what ought to be the case are not facts about what is the case. They're facts about what ought to be the case. They can now, what ought to be the case can rest on facts that are the case, right? Like the creatures that we are and the kind of physical causal world that we exist in. But as you said, Bert, they supervene. They exist at a higher level of description, over and above those actual facts. But consequently, when people hear the expression moral fact, that something they bristle because they think what you're saying is, I have the facts under my belt just as much as I have, scientific facts under my belt or something like that, right? And that's not the claim that's being made. When people are talking about moral facts, they're using fact in the other sense of the word, as in when we say, well, in fact, there is a finite number of grains of sand in my backyard, or there is some positive integer that factually and accurately and veraciously, vertically describes the number of blades of grass in my backyard. There is some fact of the matter, right, to that question. I don't know what it is, right? No one's ever going to answer how many grains of sand there are on the world's beaches, but there is an answer to that. It's just no one's got that answer. It's in that sense of the word fact, of actuality, okay, that there is something that there is a domain of fact that could, in principle, answer the question, is this action right or wrong? That's what we're talking about.